So, for those of you that are just joining, welcome to the Influencer Journey Show. My name is Suzanne Hart. I'm sitting down with the beautiful Taria Podge, and it is my time to ask her some beautiful questions about the topic today. Today's topic is, why is social listening the key to your social media? So, Taria, let's just jump right in. What on earth is social listening?
So, I want to first say this. I think that on some level, we all do some type of social listening. So this is where we get into the act of, getting to know who our ideal client is. And like you and I, we term it now our divine client. Yes. So we really want to know who our people are, who are the tribe of people, that are connecting with us. And in order for you to find them, the first thing that needs to happen in the process is that we need to get present and we need to actively listen. So social listening is that process of being, on social platforms, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. You're not just on there to have a grand old time and then post your content, right? This is where you actively, engage with your content, engage with your audience, and you get to kind of know their needs, right? So you know the things that you struggle with, the things, or you learn the things that they want and need, and then the transformation that they desire. But it's not just knowing those things and putting it in your back pocket. Are you actively tracking?
So for those people who are listening, share a little bit about how you get to know those things. Like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah. So it's, like I said, once again, it's not just about us going on social media and throwing up posts for just throwing up posting's sake. So putting content out there for just putting out content. Are you conscious, number one, about the content? Are you strategic about the content? So when you place content out there on social media, whether it's a post, a video, whatever it is you're sharing, what's the intel or what's the data that you want to collect on your audience? So if you ask a question, you're not asking a random question. You must have a reason, right, as to why you're asking this question. And then, like I said, what you're doing for your business and giving yourself the opportunity to serve more, you're taking notes. You're tracking, all of this.
And so would I also be tracking, let's say I drop a post and it gets a high level of engagement, and the content is, of course, very specific. So I track and I keep in mind that this post got a lot of engagement. And then I might drop another post and crickets.
Right. So let's go back to the first scenario. So you make a post and the post has a lot of engagement. Now, normally what people tend to do, they get all excited because there's a lot of hearts and there's a lot of likes. And even sometimes comments.
Right.
And, pretty much people are really good at going in and responding to the comments. Now, I'm going to take it a step further. Are you actually clicking on the names of the people who have engaged with that post and going back and checking out their profiles? Okay. Check out their profiles. See the things, that they are into. So can you tell, are they a good fit for your tribe, or they're not a good fit for your tribe? Can you tell the things that they're posting about? Are you actually going back? This is all intel that you are gathering on your social media. And so what will eventually start to happen, you should notice some similarities.
Got it.
Of the people who are connecting and engaging with your content.
Got it.
And then that allows you to now form, an avatar per se, or define more who your divine client is or who your audience members are.
That's really interesting, because I have had people comment on my posts, and then when I've gone and looked at their page, I've seen a bunch of stuff that I'm like, oh, yeah, no, not part of my tribe. But I've seen I've seen stuff and I'm just like, oh.
But I have to say, so then, the thing is that even though you might look at it and say, well, oh, they're not part of my tribe, there's something about the content.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that resonated with them.
I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
However, at the same time, something about my content may have resonated, but by looking at their content, I can see that it's not one of my people.
Yes.
I may be one of their people, but they're not one of my people. If that makes sense.
Oh no, it makes total sense, because that's the thing. And we started off the show talking about, like, if you're in the business of trying to serve everyone, then you're absolutely not serving anyone. So it works both ways. So it's good for you to identify who your people are, and then also to identify who they're not.
And then I will go to someone's page and even like just when you look at how they title themselves, and I'll go, and then I'll go and look at what they post and what they and their content, and their title may not be someone I assume would be one of my people, but then when I'll go into the content and what they post, I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so my person. So it really does make sense to go and do.
Yeah, you have to. All of that is included in in social listening, and one of the things that I always liking this to say is, like, sometimes we get so caught up in thinking that social media is like a short game. That there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people on social media, and so we have a tendency to think like it's the place where we could get like immediate results, on stuff. And I get into this with clients all the time. Yes, the opportunity is there. It is definitely fertile ground, but social media is what I like the term as a long game.
So you have to sow your seeds.
So you have to sow your seeds, and you have to make your plan. And just like you do your normal forecasting for your business goals, you have your 1-year goal, your 5-year goal, your 10-year goals. Those same things apply to social media. So social media is not a quick hit it and get it, or sometimes when you do an activity on social media, you're like, oh, it didn't work, and so this doesn't work, and so you exit stage left. No, it's that thing of constantly, mining on social media.
So I know you talk about honing in, and I wanna ask my next question, and if you can like really dig into honing in so everybody really gets what that means. And it's, how does social listening help you identify your divine client?
Oh, yeah. So that's like I said, is the whole point of social listening. So I'm gonna share with you a story.
Okay.
And I remember when I first launched my programs.
Okay.
And I think I launched 2 programs back to back. And I was so excited about these programs. Okay. You can't tell me nothing about my programs. I have people enrolled in my programs, y'all. Okay. And the thing that stood out for me, one was a 6-week program and the other one was a 12-week program. What I noticed off the bat was, coming through the time in the program, people showed up. They were present in the program, but I had assignments for them to do, but no one was doing the work. And even after the program ended, I still went back and I looked at social media, checked out their pages to see what was going on, and nothing. And it was, to me, like they were still stuck. And that did not leave me with a good feeling. I started to internalize it. And I started to, first ask myself the question, like, oh my gosh, what went wrong?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what did you determine?
Well, I made up a whole bunch of stuff. I told myself a whole bunch of stories.
How many of you do that with anything in your business? It doesn't go the way you want. And what you do is you make up a bunch of stories about you, about your tribe.
Exactly, about the program. And maybe it was a landing page, and maybe it was a website, all that stuff. didn't really matter. And I didn't get to the heart of the program or the heart of the problem until I went back and I started asking the members of the program, like, what was missing? Social listening, right? What was missing for you? This, what prevented you from moving forward, or what prevented you from, getting better? And sometimes, as the entrepreneurs, we're really scared to go back and ask those questions because, like I said, we internalize it. Okay. And so that's a form of social listening. So I started to gather the intel from the members of the program. And then I took their intel and created content from that intel that I put out to my audience to see if I could get a broader perspective of, is this really an issue that people are struggling with and they're challenged with? Now, I'm just going to collapse the story and say the beautiful thing that happened is that it allowed me to develop the program that I have now.
Got it.
Okay. Now, what's really so interesting is when I developed the program, I had an idea and a concept that the program was going to be a year-long program. Okay. Because from the information that I received, 6 weeks wasn't enough time.
Okay.
12 weeks wasn't enough time. People really wanted to have someone to work with them on a consistent basis at the level they were.
It's interesting because I know for myself when I first started, what I didn't know was social listening, but my own social listening, if you will, and like you, I was attracting people, and it was almost like they were always almost the right people, but something was missing.
Yeah.
And one of the things I will say to many of you, I think most of you, is I realized that I was my first client. And so I had to go back and do my own social listening,
Right.
and then check it out with those people that started to show up, or see if there were some of those people in the group that was showing up. So the words that I actually had to add was hardworking, result driven.
Right.
I'm very hardworking. I'm very, as you know, very, very result driven. So hardworking, result driven. And I started putting in like things that described me. I felt overworked and underpaid. I felt undervalued. I felt not heard. I felt like I started playing with these things that were myself before I found some answers. Before I started my entrepreneurial journey, this is who I was when I was working. This was who I was when I was struggling. And as soon as I started using that language and putting it into the marketplace, what began to happen was not only were the people that were showing up before were showing up, but then there was this divine group, which is where we count the words of this divine clients that were the hardworking, result-driven, hungry for outcomes group of people that I was like, there they are.
Yeah.
And so what I had to do was I had to go back and ask myself, who was I? What were my struggles? What were my challenges? And then put that content back into the marketplace and see if people started responding. And that is when I started getting things like, oh my gosh, you're telling my story. Oh my goodness, you know me. I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
I need to hear from you. And people started reaching out, and they were the match.
Yes. And that's exactly what it is. And so you have to be able to give yourself, the opportunity to go through that process. And so as I talk about it, that wasn't something that happened overnight.
No.
Right? And it took time to develop.
Oh, trust me.
Yeah. And like
it took crickets in the market.
Crickets in the market. You're gonna have people who disagree, because I remember when I first started sharing that I was gonna have a year-long program, almost everyone in the beginning was just like, that's crazy. No one is going to sign up for a program for an entire year. I would, and I had people say that, like, no, I wouldn't invest working with someone for a whole year. I want to try it for, 6 months, or I want to try it for 3 months. And I'm so glad that, I kind of stuck to my guns and said to myself, just like you said in the beginning, like you're going to be able to not only identify who your people are, but you're going to identify the people who aren't for you. And so for the people who weren't willing or ready to make that commitment, I know that they weren't my people, at least not yet.
Yes.
Okay. But what it did was it allowed me to find the people or attract the people who wanted that level of work.
Yes. It's interesting because I've had year-long programs for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't listen to anybody. That's just me. I just do my thing. Let me rephrase that. I listen to the people I believe I'm called to serve.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things about doing that and really honing in, the blessing of it was not only were the people that hooked on to my content,
Mm-hmm.
willing to walk with me for a year,
Yeah.
they were willing to walk with me for years.
Yeah.
So I have clients and we have clients that are in like their third year of a journey.
Oh,
and I want you guys to think about that. And it says that it's easier to continue to serve the same client than to go out and find a new client. So imagine, if you will, if you do this work, you do your social listening, you hone in, you find that divine group of people, and you say, how do I serve these people
Mm-hmm.
and take them on a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year journey, so I can work with a smaller tribe? Just a thought.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I love.
Yeah, and and it's one of the things that I always talk about too,
Mm-hmm.
is knowing your buyer's journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so this is one of the critical steps in really defining and laying out your buyer's journey.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone has one. So even if you're out there and you're offering products, maybe you're not doing a program,
Mm-hmm.
but you have products that you're selling, you really definitely need to know the life cycle of your clients or the life cycle of your customers, because oftentimes we see it all the time, the one and dones.
Yeah, absolutely.
People come up with programs, and then what they do, this program, it was a hit, and then there's nothing.
Yep.
After the program, and then people are left hanging. But when you really get present to listening to what your audience and listening to what your clients are telling you they want, then you're able to go back and actively create those things that continue to serve them. And that's what allows you to build loyalty in your business and loyalty in your tribe.
So, the last question I have is, what's the benefits of social listening? And you're just getting into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I want everyone to just really think about this for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
because one of the benefits of social listening, people think that social listening happens until you get a client,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm in the marketplace, I'm listening to what people are saying, and I'm attracting them, and they've purchased a product. For me, that's where you ramp up social listening. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because our value ladder, our suite of products, and I think it kind of goes like this
Mm-hmm.
with clients, right, has come out of really asking, what's next?
Yeah.
What's next?
Right.
What's next? And taking them on a journey, not outside my wheelhouse, not outside Sharia's wheelhouse, but inside our wheelhouse, but taking them on this journey of answers. And what's really interesting is I've had people sit down with me and go, okay, Suzanne, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go anywhere. What's next? And that's what happens when people feel heard, when people feel valued, when people believe that you will overproduce, overperform for them because you are listening.
Mm-hmm. And then the second part to that, it just makes your work a whole lot easier. So a lot of times we spend time in our head trying to guess and trying to, come up with what we think, the next step should be. But why not just take the opportunity to look at your divine clients, your perfect clients, and if they're telling you that they're not going anywhere, they want to journey with you, then it absolutely makes sense for you to develop, the things that they need. And like we always say, it's about locking arms and journeying with people. Yeah, and when I remember when I started to say that, like how you defined yours, I started to say, well, lock arms, and I'm looking for people to journey with instead of going wide or deep. Okay. And people started to resonate with that. So now we have, like you said, we have people in our programs who are there, who are with us for years, and they're like, I know you are my person, right? I know you guys are my people. Right. So what's the next step? And then they'll tell you what they need. And it's up to us to create what they need or collaborate with others that will be able to provide
those services. It's a beautiful thing. So I want to expand social listening a little bit deeper for everyone. And I want to go into program development and social listening. And how many of you will spend your time in the vault building the program, and you're just excited? Oh my God, this program is going to be so amazing. And that's how you build them. I want to put a twist on it. And I remember, I don't know if we did this live, but build a plane while flying. And I know it sounds crazy because you don't actually want any pilot to be building the plane while flying it. But in our world, you do. And so it's interesting because every time someone comes to me for program development and we're going to build out a program for them, I always say, we're gonna deliver it and build it, and I can see the fear instantly on their face. Yeah. They're like, "What? We're gonna what?" I said, "We're gonna deliver it and build it." So I said, "We're gonna sell it first."
Yeah,
that's the test in the marketing. So our first step in social listening, let's sell it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about what we're thinking, and we're gonna sell it. And if people bite, we know we have something of interest. Then we're gonna build it from week to week. And for most people, that's like, oh my gosh, what are you thinking? How am I going to be able to do this? Now, and I say this all the time, is the first lesson you teach, so the first week you teach, gives you all the information for the next week. Because you're going to do that social listening, and you're going to see what lands. You're going to see where people are stuck. You're going to see what they need next. And it's not like you don't have content in your head and you don't have an outline, but the guts of that outline needs to be informed by what people are saying. And so that's what we're talking about with social listening and programs. And it's such a huge benefit because your programs end up feeling so valuable to your client because it's client-led. It's not led by your desire. It truly is client-led.
And then I'm going to add a little bit more onto that. And the second piece to that is, when you do it again, all of the things that you've learned going through the program, when you do your next iteration of the program, you include those things. And then the next time you include those things. And then eventually you have a robust program. And I see people doing this all the time. They would create a program, and it's almost like as if they were so exhausted when they did the program. They're just like, I'm done. I'm not adding anything else to this program. And, eventually it falls flat, and it dies out. So you hear like, what ever happened to that thing that you were doing? Oh, wow. They just let it go. But if you implement social listening, you will see where you could take that one program, that like one thing, and just develop that one thing and maximize it. And I could talk about this, on and on. Because I could definitely say I see a lot of things, right? People put a lot of stuff on automation. Definitely you want to have social listening before you put stuff on automation, because if you have not tested it, you don't know if your audience likes it or even wants it or found ways to make it better. Then you've just automated something that no one wants,
and that's cost. That is cost. And it's interesting because let's look at iPhone for a moment, right? Apple and the iPhone. We're on iPhone. Well, it feels like iPhone 25. I know we're not.
I think we're up to. I think we're 14 now. 13, 14.
iPhone 14. Now I want you to ask yourself, did you really need iPhone 14? Do you really need iPhone? Did you need iPhone 12, 10? But this is where Apple is brilliant, and this is how I always recommend people think. It's such a great model. What they're doing is they're listening to the market, and they're making these slight adjustments. But the slight adjustments are so appealing that everybody's like, "Ooh, I gotta go get the next phone." And then they make another slight adjustment, and everybody goes, "Ooh, I gotta go get the next phone." Now, truly, is the iPhone the best phone on the market? I don't know. Probably not. I don't know. However, they have this loyal following and tribe because they listen to us and they make these adjustments, and then they package it in such a way that it's sexy. It's appealing. It's like, ooh, it's a status symbol. Do we need it? The next one? No. I want you to think of your program from that perspective. And I know for myself, the mastermind's been running, I think we're 5 years in. And every year, the iteration of it has changed. And it has changed based on the feedback of the students that are in it. And what's really interesting is whenever I announce the change, people are like, oh, I need to register for next year because it's going to be different. Think about that. I'm offering the same mastermind, but it's not the same mastermind. So people will be enrolled because in their mind, it's going to be different.
And you're talking about Apple. And I'm going to take a minute to bring this back to social media. And I'm going to talk about Facebook. And one of the things that excite me, I know you was going to laugh, but one of the things that excite me about this platform is that I really do see their social listening. Okay? I think and I'm not saying no other social platform does not do it, but theirs stand out for me. So one of the things that I noticed with Facebook, what Facebook will do, or their team, they will take a look at what's happening in the marketplace. So people who are active, not just on Facebook, but active on social media, what are the things, that they are into with all of these social platforms that are popping up? What makes people flock to these social platforms? One of the things that you notice that Facebook does,
they copycat good.
They adapt. But not only that, they try so many things that we don't even realize when something is not working for them, how quickly they get rid of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's another form of social listening as well, because remember, their goal is to keep their audience on the platform
for as long as possible.
And they have a social component, so they want their users to have a great experience. So they always say, well, you know what, people are using this over here, let me go ahead and incorporate this into the platform. If it sticks, it works, they keep it. And if not, then they get rid of it. You don't even know when that thing disappeared. You're like me 3 years later looking for watch parties. I'm like, oh, they went away 3 years ago? Wow.
I didn't even know they went away.
Oh yeah, watch parties are gone.
Wow. So social listening is a key component of all areas of your business. And so I really want everybody to just take that away for today. It's not like at the beginning, it's all areas of your business, and really just being in that space of listening and giving back, and listening and giving back, and listening and giving back what you're learning. And therefore our businesses are always evolving. They're always changing.